Hello, and welcome to Arts and Entertainment.
With Chris and Randall.
I'm Chris,
I'm Randall.
and a happy 4th of July, assuming that you are in the United States or you are affiliate yourself with the United States. This coming week will be Independence Day. Randall, do you call it 4th of July or do you call it Independence Day?
I grew up not ever saying Independence Day much, and then I remember that science fiction movie came out
Oh,
called
yeah.
Independence Day, and then I suddenly started realizing some people call it Independence Day. I didn't really know. Do they call it Independence Day more on the East Coast?
Now we call it 4th of July.
All right,
So
well, I don't know who calls it Independence Day, honestly.
Wikipedia calls it Independence Day. So, folks, this episode is about the arts and entertainment of the 4th of July. And before we deep dive into this, as always, I always like to ask people, please like, please subscribe, please share, please comment. And if you want to reach us, Randall, what's the best way to contact us?
Well, we're both on Facebook. The show Arts and Entertainment with Chris and Randall has a Facebook page. That's a good way. That's fairly easy and popular. Go to our website, though, chrisandrandall.com. Various ways to contact us. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we always like to hear from you. We like to take your suggestions, your criticisms, your compliments. We love your compliments. So we're recording this on June 30th. Tomorrow is July 1st. So that's when you're going to listen to it. Last week, you heard our episode, if you're listening to this in chronological order, about live entertainment as we get out of COVID. That was actually recorded almost a month ago. And it is germane to just kind of bring that up for a moment, that I would say a lot has changed in the last 4 weeks. And, coming out of a pandemic, this 4th of July is the big holiday that everyone's been gearing up for. Wouldn't you say, Randall?
Yeah, well, this whole summer everything's going to be big, yeah. But this 4th of July, it's just about the beginning of the opening after the pandemic here in California, and so yeah, it should be pretty big.
I was in New York City for the last 3 weeks, and even there, it's always been an outdoor holiday, which is good. Last year, we didn't have 4th of July in the sense there was no activities. Everybody had to go off into the woods by themselves or the beach, but no one could congregate legally.
I think Trump had a party, right?
You may have, but so it is like this is a very special 4th of July in the Republic. So I wanted to just, before we get into it as an art form and as a form of entertainment, just want to talk a little bit about the history. In a sense, everybody knows the Declaration of Independence, where in the course of human events, blah, 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 blah. My favorite line, of course, is we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, they are endowed by their creators with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in many ways, I do feel like that pursuit of happiness is very much in effect on 4th of July. So it's an interest, just the backstory. I can't believe I'm giving backstory on the birth of the nation. But in 1775, the war begins between the colonies, the American Revolution, and the British Empire, and the King George. And it really was not about being free from independence. It was really about taxation without representation. And the following year, in 1776, the Second Continental Congress met, 13 original colonies. They were trying to figure out what would be the proper political response to the tyranny of taxation without representation under the king. This is going to be very brief. When it was finally decided and passed July 2nd, it was the resolution. It did not go into effect as a law till the 4th of July. And all it did was simply declare that America, the 13 colonies, were now independent of England. It did not declare war on England. It did not declare the United States as we know it today. What came after that actually is the Articles of Confederation, which bears almost no semblance to what our country looks like at all. So it's just really just an announcement. It's just a herald to the world who we are as a nation. Now, John Adams, he had been very excited by this. He wrote to his wife Abigail on July 1st, 1776. He said, "The second day of July, 1776, will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as a day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, with games, with sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations, from one end of the continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore." And he was only off by 2 days, because that is really pretty much how we do 4th of July. In fact, in the following year, in July 4th, 1777, it's the first official July 4th celebration that was held in Philadelphia. It is reported by the Virginia Gazette that there was unofficial dinners it was an official dinner for the Continental Congress. There were toasts, there was a 13-gun salute, speeches, prayers, music, parades, troop reviews, and fireworks. Ships in port were decked with red, white, and blue bunting. And that became the trend in the 13 colonies. That is where it went viral. In 1779, Randall, it fell on a Sunday. And you know what they did when the 4th of July fell on a Sunday?
What'd they do?
They celebrated on a Monday, July 5th. I know, that's crazy.
We think it's only us today that want to always put everything on the Monday.
We always want a Monday off.
It's everybody.
Even if it's the 5th of July.
We've been doing it forever.
Okay. We're doing it forever. In 1781, the Massachusetts General Court became the first state legislature to recognize July 4th as a state celebration. In 1783, Salem, North Carolina held a celebration with a challenging musical program assembled by Johann Friedrich Peter entitled The Psalm of Joy. The town claims to be the first public July 4th event, as it was carefully documented by the Moravian Church, and there are no government records of earlier celebrations. Almost 100 years later, in 1870, the U.S. Congress makes Independence Day an unpaid holiday for federal employees. Now, in 1938, Congress changes Independence Day to a paid federal holiday so that federal employees can get the day off. And then in 1941, my mom's alive. World War II is not America's not yet entered World War II. It becomes an official federal holiday. Before then, the 4th of July was celebrated around the country, but in a less official capacity. Once July 4th was named as a federal holiday, more people than ever started using fireworks as part of the celebration. So, the 4th of July, as we know it, in many ways is as old as the Republic. But as I say, our experience is almost the 20th century product. It's a pretty new thing. In fact, I guess technically it's not until I think sometime in the Nixon administration, in the early 70s or late 60s, he's the one who mandates that when a federal holiday falls on a Saturday or Sunday, you get the Monday off. So it wasn't even until my lifetime that if the 4th of July fell on a Saturday or Sunday, you'd still get a holiday on Monday.
I don't know why Nixon isn't considered the greatest president of all time just for that reason. You think?
No, I agree. And so let's break it down. I think the first thing there's a 3-act structure to the day. Act 1 to me is always the morning parade. Act 2 is the party, and Act 3 is the fireworks. So today we're going to talk about those 3 particulars. We're going to talk about our own personal experience, and then we're going to talk about this as an art form. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite musicals to watch on Independence Day. It was one of my favorite musical numbers to watch on Independence Day or 4th of July. And we'll just talk about Independence Day or 4th of July as a form of entertainment and as an art form. I think first we're really going to talk about it as a form of entertainment. the art form will come at the end. So let's start off with the parade. The parade, as I've just mentioned to you, Randall, is one of the oldest components. Marching bands, which come out of the military, is normally what we think of when we see a parade. I know that you were in a high school band.
Yeah, I was in my high school marching band. It's called. I mean, we did concerts, but we mostly did parades and field shows for football games. And yeah, so I've been in a number of parades, or I was in high school, and they're fun. I mean, they're a lot of work, Chris. I mean, you got you got to walk and play at the same time in formation. Uh, yeah, Chris, you got to drill. You got to really practice long hours. I mean, it's a lot of work being in a marching band, Chris.
And a marching band, like the march, is it's very specific kind of choreography, isn't it?
Well, the hardest part about being in a marching band is trying to get everybody to walk in sync.
How did they do that?
You drill, and you learn to. There's a drill major. You've heard of the drill major. The drill major's job is to start everybody off on the correct foot, literally, and to keep everybody. And you watch the drum major. You watch him. You watch him or her. You watch them walk. You're trying to mimic their steps. I mean, you're trying to just walk the same way as the people around you are walking. I mean, everybody has to stay in line. Everyone has to. You just have to keep watching everyone to make sure your steps are in sync and you're in line. And there's two lines. There's a column and a row.
Then you have to break, right? I see, like sometimes
Well, you have to learn how to turn a corner.
Yeah.
Turning a corner is a whole other thing, right? You have to figure out how to do that. The guys on the outside have to walk faster than the guys on the inside. Guys
Really?
on the yeah. Well, think about it. It's like you're the spoke in a wheel. So the guys on the inside have to walk, take much. If you're on the very inside of the turn, you have to take little tiny baby steps. If you screw up, then everyone to your left, or right, everyone outside of you. You're on the inside, everybody outside of you, they're supposed to take a bigger step than you, slightly, so that everybody's in sync as they turn the corner. You keep a line as you turn the corner, but if that person the first person messes up, then suddenly you might get people crashing into each other. I mean,
oh Lord! And then
it's a whole thing, Chris.
You got the baton twirler, right?
You can have what do they call it? The flag team or the drill team. That's called the drill team, and they're just like they're usually ladies, and they usually they're I want to say they're kind of like cheerleaders, but
gymnasts.
Cheerleaders and gymnasts and drill team. They all do something similar, right? They have a similar routine. But the drill team is the drill team in the parade has to march in front of the band usually, and they're going to have their own routine sometimes. I mean, it's as complicated as they want to be. I mean, they don't have to. Some drill teams don't have to get that complicated,
But it still must be a big deal, especially for a 4th of July parade. And, it's hot. You're wearing your uniforms. When you were doing parade work, could you hear the people in the stands cheering you guys on?
Oh, yeah. So if the parade is well attended, there's lots of people. It's you have the biggest audience ever, a parade is like there's a lot of room for audience, right? There's way more people in a parade route than in a theater, and they could be really thick and loud, and I mean it can be fun.
So when you're in parade, do you just play music continuously, or is there like you walk a bit, you play, and then after that song's over, you march a bit, and then you pick up another song? Or
right, you just keep playing different songs. The drum major is leading. The drum major is like the conductor of the orchestra. He's going to lead he's the leader. He's deciding what everybody's going to play. He might shout it out what the next song is. Sometimes you're just playing the same song over and over.
But have you done that I would imagine in a parade that's not uncommon.
No, no. I mean, for a normal high school marching band, they would probably play like 1 to 3 songs over and over, I would think. Um, because what you want to do is you want to play a song that you want to play maybe a new song for for you want to have enough song for whatever portion of the crowd you're passing by. You don't want to you don't want to repeat yourself too much.
That
But
makes sense because it's like what, about 5 to 10 minutes that you're on a block or two?
yeah, not too long. Sometimes there's a part in the parade where you stop and do a field show, like
Oh, what's that?
in front of the judges of the parade. Like I'm sure if you've seen like the Rose Parade on TV, there's that part where there's bleachers and the judges are there and the and like sometimes floats or other dance teams will stop and do a routine. It's a special routine just for that one part of the parade.
So what is that like when you're in a marching band? What would that be like for you guys back in the day?
Well, we would march, 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 and then we'd get to that spot, and then the our leader he would give a command, and we'd all turn in formation at the same time to face the bleacher, and then if we're not already in our proper formation, he'd give another command, and we'd all quickly as quickly and as gracefully as possible move to the correct formation, and then he'd give another command, and we'd start the field show. That would probably
Wow.
be the same field show we do for at a halftime show at a football game, and then we do it, and then he'd give some more commands, and we'd be back in our parade formation, and then he'd give another command, and we'd march away, and then the judges would rate
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
The judges would
really?
rate us, and then they would say, and then later on, you know, our teacher, the teacher of our class, our band leader, he would say, "Yeah, you guys got last place. Good job." And then that'd be it.
Now, I have only been to small town parades, so I think if memory serves me right, for the most part, in any parade, there's only one marching band.
Uh, there could be multiple marching bands, but if you're planning the parade right, you got to space them out. Because you don't want them playing over on top of each other.
That makes sense. So mostly, it's so funny. In New York City, I've definitely seen like the big Thanksgiving parades and the Columbus Day parades and those kinds of parades, but I never saw a Fourth of July parade, probably because it's too hot to watch a parade. But I started maybe about 10 years going to the Pacific Palisades, which is a very small town here. It's a suburb of Los Angeles, not too far from Malibu, very inland small town. And, their parade on, 3 blocks of street starts off with a guy who parachutes down, then comes a high school marching band, then comes, the local, out here, there's a lot of horseback riders. So you have a lot of horsemen and horse ladies in horse formation, and then on a convertible. I remember the parade. Not the field marshal. What is it? Maybe it's called that, right? The parade marshal was Gavin
Could be.
McLeod one year. The other day it was Stephen Gutenberg, and you just see people. They bring their own chairs, they bring their own binoculars, they have hats, they wave the little flags. There's something just it's something just very gentle about the experience, for lack of a better word. You know what I'm
Well, it's
saying?
it's free and everybody has a front row seat, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everyone's got a front row seat. Everyone has, you know, yeah, you will see veterans. You'll see people who are parts of, the local motorcycle club, the local horseback riding club, maybe the local police, maybe the National Guard. But there are no professionals. You know what I'm saying? It's all of the community. It's almost always of the community. Maybe yes, you're out here. This is LA. You're going to see a celebrity as the grand marshal of the parade. That's just what we do. Although I don't know. No offense to the late Gavin McLeod, what a big deal it is to have Gavin McLeod or Steve Gutenberg. But for the most part, I mean, I don't even think there are. Is there such a thing as a professional marching band?
Um, maybe there are a couple, but usually not.
I mean, the most established
Usually,
ones are what? Universities
yeah.
and the
Usually, the
military?
top marching band is going to be either like from one university or some sort of amalgamation of different members from different universities in the area who have gotten together and created some sort of marching band monster. But yeah, I mean, there's no like, I don't think. I mean, I guess you have like military marching bands. So those are military marching bands might be the closest thing to a professional marching band. I'm not sure if our military still has them.
They still do, but again, it's of the community. It's the local, armed. It's whatever the local chapters are. So in a weird way, it is really when the town comes out to celebrate itself, and the members of the community, and they cheer themselves on. And it's very collectivist. I mean, in that sense, the parade. I think the parade, more than even the party or the fireworks, really addresses the fact that Fourth of July. So most of our national holidays either fall into two categories, right? We're honoring great men, or we're honoring segments of our society. We're honoring labor. We're honoring those who died in wars. We have two different ones for wars outside of this. Memorial Day, where those who died in war, Veterans Day for those who've served in war. We used to have something called Flag Day or Decoration Day, which is just for the flag, but it's not a state, it's not a federal holiday anymore. Then we have Martin Luther King and President's Day. But this is really the one that is about us as a people, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very American holiday. I mean, I like the way that it's so grassroots. Like people celebrated it for what 200 years, and then they made it a holiday.
It's a folk holiday. I would argue it's a folk holiday. And that's even the songs that are chosen. Which we can get to, like, the Star Spangled Banner, God Bless America, America the Beautiful. This Land Is Your Land, which you guys know. It's one song I'm very obsessed with because Arlo Guthrie wrote, Woody Guthrie. Is it Woody or Arlo?
It's Woody, isn't it?
Woody Guthrie wrote the most, FU song to God Bless America. And yet you'll hear them back to get back. This is when those songs that we normally don't listen to for the rest of the year come out. And unlike Christmas songs, which do require sometimes a belief in Jesus, or at least Santa, these are just songs that there's not even an official national anthem until I think 1938, which was in which is a Star Spangled Banner. In fact, Columbia, Gem of the Ocean, was actually considered the unofficial national anthem for most of the 19th century, and now it's the vice president's song. But these songs that you sing or the bands play, I mean, they're all. What do you think of them? They're just so up tempo, They're easy for everyone to sing.
Well, they're hopeful, right? I mean, the idea behind America is about hope. It's about hoping for a better future, about making a more perfect world. I mean, even Guthrie's song, he criticizes America, but he's coming from a perspective that America can be better.
Yeah, so there really is a song for every political ideology. Lift every voice for the African American community. I mean, that's the other great folk element, is no matter what your particular way you see this holiday, there's a song for you.
Yeah.
And so to me, the parade is the most collectivist, for lack of a better word, maybe not the best word.
Well, parades started, would you say, like maybe even before ancient Rome, and and parades were always something for the people. Yeah. Because it gave a chance for all the people to see something special, something. It gave everyone a chance to see. So I mean, it's the parade is one of the most democratic art forms there is. It's like the entertainment comes to the people. The people don't even have to go to the entertainment.
And the 4th of July is a very interesting parade because, you might see like a tank, or some kind of military, but you're not going to see like, it's not going to look like May Day used to look like in the Soviet Union or in North Korea. You're not going to see every armed forces troop and guns. Just you won't see it like a military dictatorship.
Yeah,
Or
do
for
you know?
that matter,
Yeah,
you don't really see politicians or famous people. It's really of the community.
yeah. Well, what is it? Bastille Day in France, where
Yeah,
they do the parades, and there was that story where Donald Trump was there for that day one year, and he saw the French like to trot out a lot of their military, much like more some of these more militaristic countries like to do.
yeah,
And because France has an inferiority complex, right? Let's admit it.
yeah.
But uh, but Donald Trump sees that, and he's thinking, he wonders, well, why doesn't the United States trot out their military during the 4th of July? I mean, and you know what? We don't, Chris,
Yeah.
because that's not what the United States is about. The United States isn't about trotting out our military prowess. I
Or
mean,
our leaders. And keep in mind too, one of the first things they said is, well, if we did it, it would cost a lot of money. And most parades, here's a dirty little secret, folks. It's funded by your community normally.
well,
You
parades are
know,
cheap. They're an inexpensive form of entertainment.
but it's sponsored by your local businesses. It's sponsored by your town council, your chambers of commerce. It's not a big budget affair because there's just not a lot of money to be had. In that sense, the parade is almost like community theater.
Well, I think that certainly in the past, going all the way back to the Roman Empire, when something significant happened, like say a war was won or somebody did a heroic deed, okay, a parade would be thrown nearly spontaneously, like on
Yeah.
very short notice. So like I think when the astronauts came back from the moon, they threw parades in New
That's a
York.
ticker tape parade. Yeah, that's very special. And it was one of the few.
That's right.
When your baseball team wins, you throw them a parade.
That's right. We've done that in Los Angeles when the Lakers win. Sometimes there's a parade for them.
But there is something very loving and local about the parade. The parade is not a celebration of power, might, or celebrityhood. It's except for maybe the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. It's really about it's about a community celebrating all of its community.
Yeah, I think it's about thanking the community. People in a parade. I feel like this is why there's celebrities in parades, because these are celebrities that want to thank people for their support. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I mean, even the Roman emperors used to do that. When they would be
You
on a
know,
parade, and they wanted the people to see them. They wanted the people to understand that they were there for the people, right?
yeah. And it's funny too, because there are Memorial Day parades, there are Flag Day parades. The summer is a big time for parades, but this is the one where it's not just the people marching, it's the people in attendance. And I think this year, especially considering we've been all locked up, I think you're really going to see that sense of communality, a word I rarely ever use. So let's get on to the parties, man. Act two, right? Now, the parties. Now, this, again, like all the really good holidays have a good kick ass party. In fact, I would say that 4th of July, it's like Memorial Day is like, oh, we're entering the summer. And Labor Day is like, oh, damn, oh, this is it. We better blow it out. But 4th of July falls right in the middle. You don't have to have served in the war or lost someone in the war. You don't even have to hold down a job and be someone in the laboring world. 4th of July, true, you could argue it helps to be an American. It's not a necessity. But the party, again, right, there are very few rules. There's no turkey that you have to have. There's no culinary specifics. I mean, I guess it's definitely what I call a griller's holiday.
Well, it's
So,
usually the weather's good, so you go out and grill.
yeah,
I know that my mother told me when she was a kid, her father in Orange County used to every like weekend just about break out the grill.
yeah.
So this used to be a very American tradition to just grill food. And on 4th of July, that's what we do.
It's a barbecues holiday. Like when I was living in college in Wisconsin for the 4th of July, we would make brats. We'd have beer and brats and potato salad, which is very German, but that's how you do it out there. Whereas New York City, you just go out for dinner, maybe have sushi. But Randall, you have thrown, and I have been to quite a few of your Fourth of July parties. So give us the skinny on how you throw a party, Fourth of July.
Well,
We want to hear it.
me and Brandon, if he's listening, and
Brandon
another
Burkhardt,
yeah, and another young
famous
lady.
writer.
Yeah, we used to throw a big Fourth of July party at our apartment all the time, and yeah, it was fun. We just invited everybody that was only cool people. First of all, Chris, like you,
Oh, you're very kind.
and
He's
then
joking. Figured that
and
one
then
out.
you have to have a lot of food. You always have to have a lot of food for a party, and Fourth of July you have to have a grill, and you have to have a lot of booze so that people can drink, and gotta have a lot of space for people to drink and eat and talk, and I don't know, what else do you need, Chris? I mean, that's
Well, I definitely feel like it's the party where if you're going, always that you can bring alcohol or food. Like I've never gone to a Fourth of July party that didn't say thank you when I brought in a 6-pack or a case or my homemade potato salad or a couple of pies. I mean, it's the potluck again. I really feel like it's a folk holiday. It's a communality party. Yeah, it's a community celebration. And one of the great things about Fourth of July parties, more than any other holiday meals, is it's almost an expectation that it's potluck.
well, it's a people's party, right? It comes from the
Right.
people, it comes from the grassroots. I mean, you know, this is gonna sound really silly probably to a lot of people, but I've been to a lot of Fourth of July parties, and you know who I always thought threw the best Fourth of July parties is the poorest of people. Like if you know somebody's family, they're poor, they don't have a lot of money, they're probably gonna throw the greatest Fourth of July party.
No, it's true. They will save up. They will make family recipes.
Well, it doesn't take a lot of money, It's just that
No.
they welcome everyone, and they got a lot of people, and they got the grill going, and everybody's bringing food, and it's just it's a people's holiday, Chris.
Well, it's kind of nice because we live here in Los Angeles, a multi-ethnic society county, and you're right. Different parts of the county, different ethnicities will bring in their. See, that's a great thing about America. Is that we're not a nation of ethnicities. We're a nation of people who come from somewhere else. So people bring their dishes from whatever country they originally come from. There's no. Well, as apple pie is considered the symbolic American dish, there is no food you can serve from another country that would be inappropriate to this holiday, because the whole concept of America, including British food,
Yeah. Yeah, I
actually,
mean,
if nothing, that'd be the most accurate thing to do, since that's probably what they did back in 1776.
yeah. See, like if a rich person throws a party, right? It's like they have a guest list. They provide all the food, and they're going to be very picky about the food, and there's gonna be like high end decorations, and I mean it's no, I don't think any celebrity has thrown like a really kick ass giant Fourth of July party, and then
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't want to pick on my wealthy friends. And certainly, have you ever worked a Fourth of July party?
that's a good question. Well, I'm a lifeguard as a day job, and I'm going to be working one this weekend. I think I worked one. Yeah, I've worked last couple weekends at country clubs actually, and
So, what is the Fourth of July at a country club like?
okay. Well, this is funny because the country clubs just do what I'm talking about, Chris. They get low rent. They break out the grill,
Mhm.
and they get a bunch of burgers and sausages, and they just start grilling and bring the kids. Even country clubs that don't like kids, they say bring the kids,
Yeah.
and everybody just has a good time. And yeah, they welcome everyone. Everybody can bring their guests, and yeah, I mean it's
That's another nice thing about the Fourth of July party. It's one of the few parties you can go stag by yourself, and it doesn't feel bad. Like there's other parties where you feel like, oh, I should see my family for Fourth of July, or I should bring my wife or my boyfriend or whoever, or I should go with a bunch of people. But a Fourth of July party, I've been to Fourth of July parties where I literally know no one but whoever I was with at the time. And even in Fourth of July parties where I don't know anyone but whoever brought me there, because there's a common element to it, you can bond just over that.
Yeah, well, everybody at a Fourth of July party knows what they're there to do. They're there to to eat some sausages and some burgers and drink some beer and
Have
that's
some
about
apple
it.
pie or ice cream, maybe play games. I remember people would play games, outdoors or indoors, chat, get together. And again, it's not a holiday where you're obligated to like spend a lot of money. You can dress in shorts and a t-shirt.
You know
There's
what? It's
no,
better. It's better if you don't spend a lot of money, Chris. This
yeah,
is, this is the great thing
you don't
about
have to
Fourth of
dress
July.
fancy
You
either.
don't want to dress fancy, Chris. I mean, dressing fancy for Fourth of July is ridiculous. No one's gonna
But
do
I will
that.
say this much. Much love to everybody we know personally, and you guys who are out there listening will show up to the 4th of July party wearing red, white, and blue. It happens. Now, look, I want to be really clear. I'm not talking about you guys with the American flag on your baseball hat or on your t shirt, or you ladies with the American flag as some sort of top. I get it. It's a fashion statement. I'm talking about at every 4th of July party, there's always that one person who has figured out literally from shorts to t shirt to belt to hat. Just to be like, oh yeah, I get it. You've got the stars on all parts of you. I mean, okay, I like you. Hey, my funky friend, that's you do you. 4th of July is one of what makes it the most creative of our national holidays. Is it just says you do you, you know?
Yeah, I have no problem with that as long as they're not wearing like a three-piece suit. Okay,
And
let's
I
get
do feel
casual.
I do feel like symbolically in the last several years, the American flag has been objectified as a totem of one party's political view over another. So it's really great about the 4th of July is it once again democratizes the symbol of the American flag from no longer being part of one party or one sensibility. Instead, it's on this day when you have the flag out. It doesn't mean you're of one political affiliation or another. It just means you're glad to be celebrating the birth of a nation, the birth of America. I got to be careful. Birth of a Nation is not really the film I want to reference. I keep on saying that, and I apologize. What I'm trying to say, it's the moment that we announce ourselves onto the world.
Well,
Say, hey, we've arrived.
I don't know if you want to get into it, but yeah, I mean, the Fourth of July is a historic event. The birth of America is a historic event. America comes out, the U.S. comes out of a colonial system. I mean, it's the first real democracy in the modern world. And everybody, and I was telling you this before the show, Chris, but everybody has an idea of what America's supposed to be. That's why Woody Guthrie can write that song. That's why people can be disappointed with America not being perfect because people know exactly what America is supposed to be like. Everybody knows how America is supposed to be. And 4th of July, when people do a 4th of July party, you can almost feel that at a good 4th of July party.
And I think that's why we tend to call the 4th of July more than Independence Day, because I'm not entirely sure we're celebrating history as much as we're celebrating a theme, a concept.
We're celebrating the concept of America, right?
Yeah, an idea more than a fact. And that actually is what a lot of our religious holidays are about when you think about it. Religious holidays are often less about the saint that is being honored or the holy person and more the virtue that we thematically associate with that holiday. And there's a virtue of liberty and equality and legacy. I think these are the ones. And let's move on to fireworks, the act 3 of the entertainment. So I did a lot of research on this. And one of the things is, yes, fireworks come from China. I know. They entered Europe in the 14th century. In the 18th century, thanks to Peter the Great, fireworks from China became all the rage. And fireworks celebrations became quite popular all over Europe. So there's a lot of different theories behind the fireworks, but what I was able to draw is that the first time fireworks were used to celebrate July 4th was on July 8th, 1776. So not really so much the 4th of July, but it was that week, according to history.com, some of the fireworks used may have been used mockingly because in England, fireworks were used as a birthday celebration for the kings and queens. Firing the fireworks to celebrate the separation of the colonies from England was to some the celebration of the death of the king's power over them. So, as soon as 1777 rolls around, this just becomes a convention and a norm. Now, there is such a long history of fireworks, and I just want to say, if you're listening, please don't play with fireworks, for professionals. I'm not advocating anyone blow off the finger for what I'm about to say next, but to me, the fireworks show is the most artistic element of the night. I just love fireworks. How about you?
I think I loved them much more as a kid, Chris. I think I've outgrown them. But you tell me. You tell us, Chris. What do you love about them?
Well, even at your parties. Okay, so Randall, at the time that you had the fireworks, you were living near Dodger Stadium out here, which is like around Chavez Ravine, and people would just stand outside of your building. We would just watch the fireworks.
Now, well, Los Angeles is. I don't think people are legally allowed to set off fireworks in Los Angeles, but come 4th of July, he's laughing. Come 4th of July, the city of Los Angeles is filled with fireworks everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. It is like living in war-torn Afghanistan. Like everywhere you go, in the sky, on the sound. Like I was in the East Los Angeles area for a number of fireworks, and everybody in East Los Angeles has, though it's literally like you definitely feel there's a. Sometimes they bend the War of 1812 into the celebration of the 4th of July. That's where Francis Scott Key wrote "Oh Say Can You See" by the Dawn, whatever that song is. Someone please correct me. Twilight's Last Gleaming, but that's a very popular song. The Star Spangled Banner is a very popular song to play during the fireworks. And you hear that line about the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. So every time you see that on a fireworks show, it's so immersive in Los Angeles, because while you're watching these very beautiful fireworks in the sky, everywhere around you, you just hear noise and explosions and maybe gunshots. I don't know. Maybe, possibly. And it does kind of put you back into the War of 1812 and what it must have been like for Francis Scott Key to huddle in over that battle to wake up the next day to see that the flag still was there. I grew up in New York City, so I was privileged enough to see the great Macy's fireworks show. I remember probably the most memorable one I saw was in 1976 during the bicentennial. We had this thing called Operation Sail, where to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the nation, ships from all over the world would come down the Hudson River, and I would sit on the roof of my building, my apartment building, and I'd look at all the ships, and then you would see the fireworks. Now, Macy's has often done half the time or more, they do the fireworks show on the East River, which, for those of you who are not from New York City, is the part that faces Brooklyn and Queens, versus the Hudson River, which is the part that faces New Jersey. So I've seen them from both, and they spend more money than anyone. It is the premier fireworks show. It runs about 40 minutes. It has these families who have been in the fireworks business for generations. It's just so beautiful to look up in the sky. But I've also been to small towns, and I've seen the local, not the rocket style, but the ones that are just launched, in the ground that are local in a high school and up close and personal, and they have a charm too. I don't know. Do you have a preference when you go to a fireworks show?
Wow. I've seen so many fireworks shows at this point, Chris. I mean, I don't know. It's like Dodger Stadium does fireworks shows. Disneyland would do a fireworks show every day in the summer, just about. Yeah, I mean, I've been to country clubs and they do a fireworks show on their 4th of July. Do I have a favorite?
Do you like the small scale firework, the intimacy of
You
the
know, I
smoke,
guess my
or
favorite,
do you
my
like the big as large as life kind?
well, I guess my favorite fireworks show is the illegal fireworks show over Los Angeles on 4th of July. You get up on a rooftop and you just look around the city, and there's fireworks going off everywhere all night. And I guess that's my favorite show. I mean, they're not the most spectacular. They don't go all that high, most of them, but it's impressive just how many people are just setting off these fireworks and breaking the law and don't care, and they're celebrating. it's it's
There
fun.
is a park in Los Angeles here called Kenneth Hahn Park, and you can go there and you can see literally every part of the city and the county. It goes from Malibu all the way down to Long Beach, and you can look at both the San Gabriel and the San Fernando Valley. And on the 4th of July, everywhere you look in Sensorama are fireworks everywhere the eye can go. It's beyond where the eye can go, and it is very exciting. It definitely makes you see that. I do think the smaller fireworks show has the benefit of feeling up close and personal. And I think there's something terrifying and joyful when you watch a fireworks show, especially because it is both sight and sound. My favorite firework is the firework within the firework. You ever seen those?
Yes, I've seen them. Yes.
Or do you like the shooting stars?
You know, I of course on a big fireworks show, I love the finale where they just explode fireworks on top of fireworks, and that's always
Yes.
spectacular. That's always fun. I mean,
That's always done to the Star Span. Da, 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 boom. And it's orchestrated to the music, which I love. I love that it's in sync with it. That must be so difficult. I don't even know how they practice. Now, I know there is an amateur fireworks organization started, the club started as early as 1976. And I know that depending where you live, it can be done by an amateur association that's been cleared by your county's fire department, or the fire department or police department in your town might, or your service department might be in charge of the fireworks show. It's not an easy thing to get licensed to do a professional fireworks show.
I can imagine.
In fact, right now we're in the middle of a drought. So Pasadena, which used to have a great fireworks show, but was canceled last year due to COVID, was canceled this year due to the drought. I don't even know if we'll have a fireworks show legally in LA County because of the drought. But oh my God.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell this little story about guns and 4th of July from when I was a kid. So, growing up in the Los Angeles area, they would always, coming up on 4th of July, always try to inform the public, usually through TV advertisements and, you know, people going on TV, officials, and asking people, begging people not to fire their guns
Yeah.
straight up into the air on 4th of July. This used to be a thing, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but it used to be a thing in LA. Everybody would want to go out and fire their guns into the air. And then the bullets would come down and kill somebody. And so they had to like put out the public service announcements for people not to do that. But it's been, I don't know, maybe 20 years since I've seen those public service announcements. So maybe they finally have the problem under control. But it just shows the exuberance, you know, it just shows just how excited a lot of people get on 4th of July.
And it goes on for, I would say, a 4th of July fireworks show can go anywhere from 30 minutes to 40 minutes. But here in a big city, because there's so many shows going on, it could be like hours of major shows followed by hours of what the hell was that? Like it just literally went off right in front of me. You know, it's exciting and fun, and it definitely brings out the child. It definitely brings, and again, it's democratic because no one really goes to jail that day for having fireworks. No, the police don't really care as long as you don't set a house on fire or burn your hands. Yes,
Yeah.
I hear someone's going to write and say, you know, every year a number of people lose their hands and burn homes. So please be responsible. I'm not advocating you to be a jerk. Neither is Randall. But my point is, again, it is the people's creativity. Once again, it is colorful. It's democratic.
You're right.
Democratic. It's of the people.
Right, you're right. I mean, it brings out a lot of people's inner child. I mean, there's a lot of adults, they love to buy, you know, a fireworks kit and just set them off for their kids. And, you know, and I think they're enjoying it more than the kids.
I think so. It's the only anarchical part of the day. You know, if the parade is very orderly, the fireworks is the Dionysian element, not the Apollyon. You know, yes, I think the parades are Apollyon. They're the ideals. They're clean. They're orderly. The fireworks are Dionysian. They're primal. They're violent. They remind you of the element of this day that is a day of revolution and war,
Well,
defiance.
yes. Well, Chris, so you grew up in Manhattan. Okay, I don't know if you ever had the experience. Like in the suburbs, the tradition was you go to the fireworks stand. You know, they set up these like wooden like stands in vacant lots before 4th of July. And then you go to these vacant lots in the stand, and they're selling like fireworks kits. Right? They have some singles, but
Wow.
they have like a box, you know, full of weird fireworks that you can buy, and you just buy a bunch of fireworks. And then when 4th of July comes around, you take out the box and or whatever extra fireworks you brought, and you start setting them off on the street or in your driveway for an hour or two, and for your kids. And that's like that's the last thing you do, and then you put the kids to bed after that. But did you have that experience as a kid
Well, you know, it's
in New
sad.
York?
We had smoke bombs, we had snakes, but they weren't proper firecrackers. We had these little paper things with a little bit of gunpowder you could throw on the street, but we didn't have firecrackers. My mom lives at the border between New York and Pennsylvania, and we go across into Pennsylvania. There, I see a fireworks store, and I'm like, oh my god, I would have loved this as a child. But yes,
Yeah.
it's only two
So
times.
you never
a year.
had that experience.
No, I've always wanted to. It's the I still have yet to fire a firecracker.
You know what, Chris? Maybe we should do that for you one of these days. I mean,
I would love it. I would love it. And so let's talk now less about the let's talk about the art. So one of my favorite things to do is I want to just talk. I mean, look, the Fourth of July in this moment in history has been commemorated by some of the greatest painters and sculptors, and there's a lot of films and documentaries. But I just want to talk about some of the lighter fare that are just about the Fourth of July. And I cannot help but escape my childhood. So in 1976, while we're still on the topic of the bicentennial, Schoolhouse Rock did a whole series of little cartoons to celebrate the bicentennial. And one of them was just for the Independence Day. It was called Fireworks. And it was sung by a man named Grady Tate, who was a drummer and a singer. If you know your Schoolhouse Rock, he was the singer in I Got Six. And my favorite, really kind of arguably not appropriate for children. Do you know the one Naughty Number Nine?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like a very cool little bluesy song about the number nine. But and we'll post this so you can watch this if you're looking at us on YouTube or Facebook. It was written by the lyricist Lynn Ahrens, who actually is a very famous Broadway lyricist. She, if you saw the movie Anastasia, she did the lyrics for Anastasia. She won a Tony Award for Ragtime. She did another Tony nominated play, Once on This Island. If you look up Lynn Ahrens, you'll see her from a number. She's a major lyricist, and she wrote the lyrics. And it tells in a very brief few minutes the story of Independence Day and why we celebrate and what the Constitution's about. And we'll show it to you. Just watch it after this. I've always thought, I think that to me has always gotten me jazzed about it, you know. And if you want something a little bit more substantial, there's another link. There is a play that was made into a movie called 1776. Music and lyrics by Sherman Edwards, book by Peter Stone. Peter Stone, who also wrote the first version of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. And it is based on the events leading up to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, telling a story of the efforts of how John Adams tried to persuade his colleagues to vote for the American independence and sign the document. And it's kind of really cool because the musical does use actual writing of the time, actual words that were spoken at that convention, converts it into song. It stars William Daniels, who you probably know from the voice of Knight Rider's Kit. If you were a fan of St. Elsewhere, you would know him from that. Howard Da Silva, Donald Madden, John Cullum, Ken Howard, and Blythe Danner. And it's a pretty good adaptation. The musical is coming to Broadway. It was supposed to come to Broadway this year. I think it's coming to Broadway this year. If it doesn't come to Broadway this year, it will come to Broadway early spring of next year. But it's a beautiful musical. Uh, it tells the story of what happens. I enjoy watching it. It's $3, I believe, on YouTube. It's $3 on Amazon. I think it's $4 on YouTube. You can watch little clips for free. But hey, if you just want to hear some great music and know the story, it's fun. I think at least one of the TV cable channels will be airing it with commercials today. If you're watching it on the 4th of July, we don't really have a lot of music. We have music. We have songs about the 4th of July, but not really so much about Independence Day. I think of the Chicago song, right? Saturday here in the park, and every day is the 4th of July. There's a Bruce Springsteen song about the 4th of July in Asbury Park, but there isn't a lot of contemporary songs, are there?
Well, it almost seems like you can't improve on the perfection that's already come. I mean, some of these songs are just, the Star Spangled Banner. I mean, how do you make a better song than that?
It is, I would say, because it is a public holiday, it's a community holiday, it is an ideational, it's about an idea holiday more than it is about an event, though it does tell a story, albeit with not all the details. You get a general idea. I think like a lot of works of art, it has all the necessary elements to make good art for those reasons. Anyone can get into it. You're free to interpret it. You're free to make of it what you like. You can make a statement that's both positive or negative.
Well,
it's open-ended.
One of the greatest news shows of all time, Democracy Now!, probably the greatest news show. They,
Yeah.
I think, no, on Thanksgiving, I don't know what they do on 4th of July, come to think of it, but I know on Thanksgiving they try to do like an all Native American show and have like the Native American perspective. I think they do that on 4th of July too.
Well, on 4th of July, NPR has all of their announcers read a few lines of the Declaration of Independence, which I have to admit I really enjoy hearing them do. I don't know why. That is the geekiest, nerdiest thing I enjoy, but I really enjoy that as much as I would enjoy listening to the soundtrack to 1776. Well, not as much as that, but that's the beauty of it, is like, even you, if you're listening right now, are you doing something creative for this holiday? Are you going to dress up in a different way? Are you going to make some crazy sign or flag, or are you going to decorate your front lawn? I love when people decorate their front lawns and do their own thing, or their backyards. Are you going to wear what is that, the famous tripartite hat this day? Let us know what you're going to do. I'll be honest with you. Outside of going to a parade, I don't know what my plans are. I'd love to go to your house for a party, but I think you're working that day.
Yeah, we're not throwing 4th of July parties anymore, unfortunately, me and Brandon and Megan, but we are, I'm working anyway, so.
So I'm hoping that however you celebrate this 4th of July, you do it safely, you do it smartly. And if you haven't gotten vaccinated, please be careful. And if you've gotten vaccinated, hey, congratulations. Now is the time. And until then, happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays. Have a great 4th of July, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you
Bye.
next time.